Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds. I'm Nerdarchy Steve. Today I'm joined by this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted, how are you doing this fine and lovely evening, sir?
I'm doing great. We even have sound for you right from the get go.
Holy crap, how the hell does that happen?
It must be fate after last week's mishap.
So apologies, technical difficulties, power outages and all of that just, came out of nowhere. There's not much we can do about it. But perhaps Dave didn't even realize that he drew from the deck of many things and had drawn a curse that caused, the power to not be working at his place. You think that could have happened?
Maybe. I actually popped a circuit breaker, folks, and my computer takes at least 20 to 30 minutes to restart, so it was just no good. So here we are. We're going to talk about the Book of Many Things. Wizards of the Coast was nice enough to send us a handful of copies. We're going to keep one that we're going to open up to talk about, which Ted has. And I have not actually looked at anything yet or seen it, but I've just heard Ted talking about it, and he seems very excited.
All right. So I've got, one unopened here. This is the standard edition that you probably see, that's out there. And no offense to, the artists involved. I happen to like this one better, but didn't realize until after I opened up the special edition. And, we're not gonna give away open stuff. So this is the one that's going on the shelf. There's other stuff that's going on the giveaway shelf this evening as well, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Well, we have two more copies to go on the giveaway shelf as well.
That's true, but they're not here. So we're gonna have one special edition
Mm.
and two regular covers to give away throughout 2024, or the end of this year and into 2024. As we go through all this stuff, I got a huge pile on the chair to my right here. But let's break down what comes in the Book of Many Things, because it's a box set. But you have the hardcover book, which is 192 pages, broken down into sections and chapters, all inspired by the actual deck of many things. And we'll get further into it, but the whole book is all about running your game, building your characters, inspired by the deck of many things. Hands down, categorically, this is my favorite 5e book, and possibly my favorite D&D book of all time. I never sit down and read, you know, page to page. I jump through. I find the things that most appeal to me. We've talked, over and over again about, oh, let's look at the character options. Let's look at monster stat blocks. Let's look at magic items. But we don't ever care about adventures, and we rarely dive in and look at all of the nuts and bolts. And from page one, this book has grabbed me. I've literally shared with every single person that I play D&D with, and I'm like, hey, you need to check this book out. I know it's not out yet, but you really need to get yourself a copy. It's that good. I'm not trying to like oversell. I'm not trying to say that, you got to do this, you got to do that. I am legitimately that much in love with this book. But that's not all that comes in the box set. You get this cool little thing, which comes in its own little extra slip case, and inside this little canister is yet another hardcover book. So this is the card reference guide, which I haven't even gotten into reading what this, or how in depth into it, but it's a guide for using the attached cards, all 66 of them, to plan your game or run like a kind of tarot style reading of the deck of many things cards, or the deck of many more things, which is another aspect of what this is. So the card set is the 22 cards, the major arcana, if you will, from the deck of many things, and the additional 44 cards for the deck of many more things, which is another magic item within the book of many things. So you can use this book as a step-by-step guide to using these cards to plot and plan your character, your campaign, your session, as well as using it in game and having more of a tarot reading for characters. The artwork, you've got a nice little Medusa on the one side. You've got card images on the front. So all in all, a lot of fun.
So
But,
it's kind of funny because there's 66 cards right in the deck.
uh-huh.
A tarot deck typically has 78, and a regular deck of cards is 52 plus your two jokers.
Yes.
So they've got their own number. And originally, the deck of many things was designed so you could use it with a deck of playing cards.
Yes.
So that I don't know if they do it in 5e. I don't know, which edition they stopped doing it in, but so that if you wanted to have the players actually physically draw cards, you just use any
Right.
old deck of cards.
Well, now if you get the Book of Many Things, you've got the deck of cards there to literally be able to choose from. And I've only briefly skimmed through the cards. I've only opened up 1/3 of them because it's broken down into 3 sections. But the cards are all gold foil lined. They're thicker cards than like a standard playing deck. They're tarot size so that you can really get into the orientation aspect. So them being essentially taller, it allows you to do the is it right side up or is it inverted. If you lay it on the side, you can kind of have it as a bridge to go from one card to the next. There's lots of great things. So if we dive into the book, the first section, which well, I mean, let's talk about. So on the cover, um Asteria ponders the magic, mystery, and mayhem of the Deck of Many Things and the Menagerie Moments by, and I'm apologize, I'm trying not to butcher this name, Katarina Burmak does the regular cover, and Asteria wields the cards that rewrote her fate in this Art Nouveau inspired by a couple of kooks. Um, so apologies to a couple of kooks. I like the core version better. Not to say that this isn't bad. That's just my particular personal preference. The disclaimer on the inside: the gods of fate take no responsibility for any alignment changes, deaths, debilitating curses, fiendish enmities, imprisonments, or sudden betrayals, nor for the loss of ability scores, experience points, magic items, personal property, or wealth resulting from the use of this book. Look, it's a deck of many things. What did you expect? So always fun to get into those. But when you get into chapter 1, The Fool, it talks about what is the deck of many things and the history of it over the editions of D&D. The fact that it started off as a legendary item, it moved into an artifact, it moved into, back to a legendary item. They talk about it as the fact that the deck of many things kind of has this history of being created by initially somebody that is incredibly powerful, but for every world it can be something different. Was it created by a god of fate? Was it created by some kind of powerful fey trickster? Coming up with what is the deck of many things for your world helps build exactly what it is for you. But then taking it through the editions, talking about this change also means that as an artifact status, the deck of many things is singular. But when it is the legendary status, it means, well, that means there could be more than one that's out there. When there are more than one that's out there, they have the ability to be different. And then this is where it really began to like sink into me of, this book is written in a play style that very much matches the way Dave and I really like to run things. And I hadn't really considered using the deck of many things, um, you know, many times over the course of the game because of the wild craziness that can happen when you do it. It can literally derail your campaign because you have to deal with a character death, an imprisonment, or something that is just so far unforeseen. Or, oh, well, somebody gained a level and now you've got this, albeit slight power difference. And what is that going to mean for the players? Is somebody going to get butthurt that, well, you're level 17 and I'm level 16? I don't think that's fair. We've been even the entire time. And and I don't enjoy those kinds of things, and generally most of the people I play with aren't going to have that kind of issue, but you never know how things are going to come. So when it says, "Hey, you can tailor the deck exactly the way you want it," you can literally engineer the deck as the DM so that you know what cards what the order of cards are. So if you want things to happen in a certain order, you can absolutely do that. You know, you just slide over the cards because they come with the damn thing. Take out all the cards you don't want. You want to have a deck of nothing but fantastic and great things? Go ahead, do it. Love it. Hand it over to your players. You want to be that aggressive, jerk GM who just wants to put challenges up there and see how the players deal with it? Players that love that too, go ahead and put only the bad stuff in there and see how many things players are gonna draw. Oh, I draw 3 cards, all of them bad. Well, the next player in line is like, well, the next card's got to be good, right? Nope, they draw bad stuff too, or anywhere in between, and like all of that is like right at the beginning of the book in the first few pages, and I'm like, man, this is just amazing. So
I don't
it
know
even
how
gives you. Go ahead.
I don't know how I would feel about a deck of many things with all good things or all bad things. I mean, to me, like I guess I've seen it in several games. It's never good when it's happened in any of the games I've played in, but like I feel like that's just the way it's supposed to be.
Sure. And you know from our long history of playing this game, that is what we are used to. And that is why I never thought about, you know, tailoring it to my game, to have it work with the things that I already have planned, and literally taken into account the inspiration of the cards to say, well, all right, well, perhaps they have the cards. There is no ability to shuffle. You lay it out. They come upon a thing and they're like, I don't know how to solve this. Like, well, use everything at your disposal, and voila, the deck of many things could literally be the catalyst to get into the next section of the game or to solve a problem that they've been pondering for a while. Uh, so I'm gonna quickly go through the the breakdown. So the first section is all about For the Dungeon Master. Chapter 1 is the Fool. It includes a history of the deck in D&D, illustrating both the deck's importance and its ever-changing nature. Chapter 2 is the Key. The vital chapter advises you on introducing the deck and using it in a campaign without breaking your game. Chapter 3 is Balance. Cards included in the deck of many things card set can be used as a unique randomizer, generating non-player characters, personality traits, encounters, and more. Chapter 4 is the Puzzle. The chapter presents puzzles, riddles, and traps inspired by the deck, as well as advice on how to use them in your campaign. Chapter 5 is Gem. Obviously, if you haven't figured this part out, every chapter is based off of one of the cards in the deck of many things. 22 new magic items in this chapter were inspired by a card from the deck of many things. The next section is character creation options. Chapter 6 is Rogue. Chapter provides advice and new magic items suited to bards, rangers, rogues, and other characters who prioritize their skills. The Rogues Gallery, if you will, presents treacherous adversaries for when a player draws a rogue card from the deck. Chapter 7 is Sage. This chapter focuses on sorcerer, warlocks, and wizards, and other characters who wield arcane magic. It includes the new Cartomancer feat, new spells, the deck of many more things, the cards added to the deck of many things over the centuries by mortal spellcasters. Yes, that's right. The book talks about player characters adding cards to the deck of many things, or in this case, the deck of many more things. Chapter 8 is Fates. New backgrounds in this chapter describe the characters whose lives have been transformed by the deck of many things or a similar effect. This chapter also includes character creation advice and magic items appropriate for clerics, druids, and paladins, and other characters with a connection to the divine. Chapter 9 is the Knight. Characters who draw the Knight card gain the service of an ally. This chapter describes a new creature that answers the call. DMs can also find advice on integrating allies into an adventuring party. In addition, the chapter includes character creation advice and new magic items for barbarians, fighters, monks, and other combat specialists. Next, we move on to the Celestial Suite. Chapter 10 is the Sun, describes Knights of the Solar Bastion who monitor the deck and protect innocence from its dangers. So it's essentially an organization that exists within the world that is designed to like help combat, the things that happen when a deck of many things has gone awry or gone, in the negative state. Oh, your character's been turned to stone or been imprisoned. Well, perhaps someone from the Solar Bastion, you can quest to go find one of them and have them come and aid your party or your character.
I kind of
Chapter 11 is the okay.
like it makes me think of when you say it, and obviously I haven't read it, so I don't know what it says
Mhm.
about the organization. But it almost sounds like it's designed to protect the peasants and the commoners, and but like I feel like adventurers are on their own.
So it could very well be, but you as the DM, you ultimately have the say of what is the Solar Bastion
Yep.
for your campaign world. Is it undoing all of the effects or just protecting those without power? You can go in either direction. Chapter 11 is the Moon. A ruthless thieves guild called the Moonstalkers strikes from a hidden lair, but its leaders hide a terrible secret. You know, don't want to give that part away because like,
Yeah.
use that. You don't want to like have that out there. Chapter 12 is Comet. A destructive comet called the All-Consuming Star travels on a wandering course through the multiverse. In its wake, it has spawned an apocalyptic cult bent on bringing an end to all space and time. So far, we're seeing a lot of organizations in this section. Chapter 13 is the Star. It details the sky of many things, a zodiac of 12 constellations that creates magical effects in a world as each constellation rises and falls. Next, we move into adventure locations. We have chapter 14 is the Jester. A magical marketplace called the Sealing Market is carried through the sky by a moonstone dragon. Among its many vendors is a Nilbog fortune teller who will read the character's future using the deck of many things, or let the character draw from it for a price. The Throne. When a character draws the throne card, they gain ownership of a small keep. But is that keep empty? Who knows? So there's an adventure of like you've drawn the throne card, but it's not going to be a simple thing. You get to turn that into a quest. Ruin. Gardmore Abbey has collapsed into ruin, but its ancient towers and underground catacombs aren't entirely abandoned. At the summit lairs Makalath the dragon, and a deck of many things awaits in the horde. Donjon. Victims of the Donjon card are imprisoned in an extra-dimensional sphere. Their location is all but impossible to discover. This chapter details that massive techno-magical prison, which is collapsing slowly into ruin. 18. Void. Victims of the Void card have their souls whisked away to an unknown location, leaving their hapless bodies behind. This chapter reveals where their souls go and provides DM with advice on handling sessions where a player might not be able to play their own character. Next, we move into adversaries and rivals. The skull. Drawing the skull card summons an avatar of death, and those it slays are cursed with undeath for as long as the deck exists. Over centuries, those undead have banded together to find and destroy all decks of many things. Chapter 20, Flames. This chapter describes unique fiends that can serve as antagonists in your campaign, even if no one in your game has drawn a Flames card to earn a Devil's Enmity. 21, Talons. This chapter includes new monsters inspired or created by the deck. And last but not least, Ureli. The deck was created for Astera, a human warrior, and our sisters in arms, the Medusa Ureli, both still alive, and they know more about the deck than anyone. This chapter chronicles the story. So, reading up to that point, the amount of lore dump that happened, like I needed to just sit there and digest some of the information before I could actually dive into what all of those sections were. But getting adventure creation advice, puzzles, traps, magic items, spells, character creation advice, DM advice, and so much all in one book, to me that like easily was like, all right, I need to know more about this, and I need to dive in. So that is why, without having to go any further than that, I'm like, all right, you've sold me. You know, let me dive into this, see what's actually going on. And then as I, digested it and began reading, I was just inspired more and more to really get into this and really see all of the amazing, tips and advice. Some things that mirror what we've been saying for a while, or the styles that we've tended to do. Uh, but like I said, it's the perfect book that I've been waiting for.
It kind of reminds me of a video we did back in 2018. I threw the link in the description there, where we basically talked about using the deck of many things as a way to generate adventures more so than just a magic item to get. And
Hmm.
like one of the ideas was you had to assemble the deck of many things, and like you're basically all these fetch quests to get each of the cards.
Well, that is actually one of the things that the book talks about. So perhaps somebody played Whisper down the lane and got that to Wizards. So to see, us talking about it, years before the book comes out, they do say like, all right, you can take the individual cards, have them scattered around the verse, if you will, or the plane, whatever you prefer, and the characters get to collect them individually. The cards can be like essentially like not a one use magic item, but like usable for one thing a day kind of
Mm.
deal. But then once you have all the cards and the container, you now have the deck of many things to fully function, or you can keep the cards unassembled to use as their things and not have, access to that
And not have
ridiculously,
soul imprisoned.
not have your soul imprisoned. Um, you know, but it's a lot of fun to to really look at. So like they literally do have, the deck of magic, the deck of many things, where each card is a magic item. So like that section literally has 22 magic items that are all like once a day kind of deals. Um, the obviously, since it's all about, decks, the concept of cards being, a magical focus for spellcasters, is absolutely a thing. There are spells that are focused on using card like effects, or your spellcaster happens to do a thing. So like, oh, your spells might be presented this way, so like, you're basically pulling a gambit scenario without actually saying gambit, because they can't do that. But that could be a lot of fun. You play a you know be it a a rogue wizard or a bard wizard. I think would make a very very fun gambit style character, just with the cartomancy feat, so you can do all those cool card tricks.
So yeah, there's also an article over on the website too while you're waiting for this product to come out. You can check out, and it is basically about building a D&D campaign around uh, the deck of many things, and pretty much gathering it together. There might be some other ideas in there as well, um, which the article is loosely based off of the video. So yeah, I mean, these are some things that we've been thinking about for a while, especially when you have something like the deck of many things, because it's almost synonymous with ruining your campaign, right?
Yes.
Like when you use either you're gonna power up your players so much that the game you are running you can't run them through anymore, or something catastrophic's gonna happen.
So like that's where like the advice of tailoring the deck, if you want to have like more of the midland type cards, you can do that. And the book says to like, all right, if you want to run, this kind of style, uh game, like this is where All right, so the starter deck version of the deck of many things is meant for low level characters, potentially as low as first level. So it only would have the Comet, Fates, Fool, Key, Knight, Rogue, Ruin, Sage, and Talons. If you want just the things that have a role playing focus, it would say Balance, Fates, Flames, Knight, Rogue, Ruin, Sage, or Throne. If you want something that's light-hearted, it would say Comet, Fates, Fool, Gem, Jester, Key, Knight, Moon, Ruin, Sage, Star, Sun, and Throne. Or if you want the deck of horrors,
Huh.
then Balance, Comet, Donjon, Ureli, Flames, Fool, Jester, Puzzle, Rogue, Ruin, Skull, Talons, and Void. Uh, and it's like the fact that it gives you those kinds of options. Like you can, like, even if you're not overly familiar with what the deck of many things individual cards are, when you just start hearing these names, like obviously Skull, Talons, Void, these aren't good cards. You know, you look at those things and I'm like, all right, this is definitely not going to be a good thing. Uh, so like that's why those are the deck of horrors. Like, you've got these cards that are just designed to seriously mess with players. But
So I feel like if you're gonna stack the deck of many things and put it in your game, I
mhm.
think the first rule of stacking the deck of many things and putting in your game is we never talk about stacking the deck when we
Oh,
put
of
it in
course
our
not.
game. Like your players can never know that you did that ever. Like you should
Right.
probably take this to your grave.
You know, it's one of, like, especially if all you're doing is putting in crap, like putting in the negative stuff. Like, you know, you can be like, all right, I've got a portion of the deck of many things. That's all you have to say. Like, you hand over the 8 cards or whatever it is that's there. Oh, this doesn't seem like 22 cards. You're right, it doesn't. But you don't tell them that you removed all of the great cards or removed all the negative cards. You just let them see what happens, and you should never let them open it up and look through what the selection is, because that destroys what the item is supposed to do. Of there being mystery to it. Uh,
Well, I guess it doesn't matter too, like as far as how many cards there are. If you're like stacking the top 22 cards, right? Like you could give them the full deck, and if you're saying like you can't, you're the only option is to draw,
mhm,
or you set the deck down on the table and be like, how many draws do you want?
sure.
You dish them out. Then it's not going to matter as much. Actually, I don't think the jerk deck is that bad, especially if it's randomized, because it would just be a cursed magic item.
Right.
Really, I think the like when you're stacking the deck and you're like deciding the exact order that the cards are going to come out.
Mm,
That to me is probably worse for the players because it really removes their agency.
sure. But if
So
you don't know who's going to draw and how many draws they're going to choose, then there is some agency to it. Um, but the idea of having the cards and being able to put them down out
yeah.
there, that's a scenario of like, all right, how do you want to do this? Kind of thing.
So so from your reading, what inspiration is in
So I loved the ability to tailor, to remove the cards that I don't want to deal with, whether they're too powerful, whether they're too nasty. Um, you know, they talk about some things are initially considered as an immediate effect, like, oh, you gain a follower or you gain the enmity of somebody, but they don't necessarily have to be right now. Like, the knight card that summons, a dude to fight loyally by your side until you forcibly remove them or they die. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, boom, they are teleported to your side and they take a knee and be like, I'm doing this thing. Like, you could have that be revealed as a fate. and something will happen, and you allow the story, that part of the story, to come out, and that the next time somebody, that character does something that would make sense, you could be like, oh well, this observer or this person whose life you just saved, you know takes a knee, and something happens, and there's a transformative process, and they now are swearing fealty to you, and will literally lay down their life for yours. Like, oh, that could be really cool. Or like, like there's literally the adventure for the throne of like, oh, you gain the awareness of this keep, and that it doesn't have, shall we say, a rightful owner. um so should you choose, you could go clear the monsters out, and lay claim to it as your own, uh, almost the same way that we did that, years ago with, Steve's game, where we kind of took over a keep. Um, you know, we didn't have the deck of many things to give it to us, but like, it was there. Nobody was using it. So we took it over. Um, you know, it talks about, the deck as a narrative. So like, if you're kind of slumped for an idea, like you can literally pull out the cards and give a shuffle and draw out something. Oh, if you draw the skull, well, perhaps something's going on with undead. If you draw the flames, perhaps there's some kind of fiendish thing. You draw the star, the moon, the sun, perhaps some kind of celestial event might be happening to transpire. But to just take inspiration from whatever's there, can kind of guide you in a direction of, getting over you know, your DM block. And whether you're doing it at the table, behind the screen or in front of the screen, or just during your standard DM prep of like, all right, I don't know what to do next. All right, boom, 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 draw 3 cards and see what they are. As always, you've got the ability to just look at the name. You can, you know, orient cards, be like, well, is it, regular, or is it inverted? Is it a good card, a bad card, a medium card? Like, you know, what kind of what kind of inspiration am I taking from the card, the orientation, what have you? Um,
Does the book go into that at all, or is that your own thing?
I mean, that it does talk about, some of that. Uh, yeah, I was last Sunday that I was reading that part, so I don't know how much in depth it talks about, positioning, but I know that they mention, position, in there to some degree. But as for me, I'm always also extrapolating to, where I take things. Uh,
So we're like at the halfway mark here, folks, and before we get back into the book of many things, see if we can't pull some of these secrets out of Ted. Um, Real quick, you may have noticed the Easy Roller Dice logo is up in the corner there. That's because they sponsored our live chats here. Whether it's your first set of dice or your 1 millionth set of dice, Easy Roller Dice for all your dice rolling needs. There's a one-time promo code down in the description. You can check that out. Also, we're going to be launching our next Kickstarter for our very own game, Zoo Mafia RPG. You can sign up to be notified. There is a link in the description for that as well. If you want to be one of the people that maybe gets the book of many things as one of our giveaways, then you can sign up for our newsletter. Plus, we have all kinds of great content that we throw in there. That'll make you eligible, and also become a patron over on Patreon. You can support us there as well. Anything else, Ted?
so yeah, number one, this Friday we're going to be returning November 3rd for the next game of Old Guard, and unless something changes, we're also going to be back on the 17th of November. So we missed October, and we didn't want to lose out on that session. So twice this month we're going to get a chance to play. Our lovely friends at Easy Roller Dice are going to be doing a giveaway. I've got two little packages to you know, uh, give away to 2 fans who wind up watching and commenting. I'm gonna, look to social media for, how to be, in on that, as well as if you come around on Friday, I'll have it, announced at the beginning for how you can get in on those cool little giveaway packages. Um, I've got a stack of things here that we're going to be showcasing off as things that are going into our giveaway pile. Uh, so all the cool ways of getting in on that, as Dave mentioned, are definitely there. And Easy Roller Dice has got some amazing glass dice, as well as some cool resin dice that they've recently released. They're really fantastic. So if you haven't gone and shown them some love, please go check them out and see all the cool things that they're putting out, because it's awesome.
So, what are some cards in the book of many things that we haven't seen?
So I was not aware of your Urali, or however you pronounce that one. Um, you know, maybe it used to be something else, but it's the one that turns you to stone. Um, and I just don't remember seeing that name
Uh huh.
before I got this book. Now maybe
Well,
they
I mean,
changed it
that
for.
sounds like it would have been like the Medusa, right? I feel like maybe there was a Medusa card before.
And I mean, legitimately, it's not on this. Uh, it's on the back of the box. No, it's on the back of the book in here. Yeah. So like there is, that is the character Urali that's in here, and she's referenced uh as a thing, as a creature. So like maybe they added more lore for fifth edition, or maybe when they changed it from the deck to the book. Uh, I don't know when that happened. This is not the deck of many things. Is not something that I've regularly pulled out and said, "Oh,
Hmm.
I need to,
Well, so
I need to do this."
your alley is definitely in the 5e version, just
Right.
in the DMG. Um,
That
yeah,
that's
and
my fault. My fault on missing it.
now I don't know if they renamed it or from previous editions or not.
I'm guessing they did, because, like I said, I've never seen that name before.
Oh,
I
and
mean, everything else seems.
it curses you too. It doesn't turn you to stone, so that's not as bad.
Um,
But there's 66 cards, right? So they came up with like a bunch more.
yeah, there's 44 more that you get access to later on with the deck of many more things. Um, uh, so like once you get to page 51, you begin seeing the deck of many more things, which is another legendary item. And some of these things are you know much less severe kind of issues, uh, but they're definitely things that can still be problematic. Like if you get the beast, you transform into a random beast that's CR5 or lower, and you remain in that form for like 2d12 days. And the only thing that can change you out of that form is the freaking wish spell. And I'm like, wow. Corpse, you immediately drop to 0 hit points. You have the unconscious condition, and immediately begin making death saves. Spells and other effects that restore hit points have no effect until you stabilize. Uh, if you fail 3 death saves, you die and can only be resurrected by a wish spell. Yeah,
That's brutal.
and that one
What
is
what is the
is
one that
is
turns you into an animal?
beast.
So
You mean you
that might be
okay?
fun to drop on the party, right? Like to make them do an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Is in animal forms.
You immediately transform into a random beast with a CR5 or lower. Your game stats, including your ability scores, hit points, and possible actions, are replaced by the beast's game statistics, and any non magical equipment you're wearing or carrying melds into your new form and can't be used. Any magic item you're carrying drops into an unoccupied space within 5 feet of your new form. You remain transformed in this way for 2d12 days. Nothing can alter your form while you're under the effects of this card, but the wish spell can end the transformation early. When you revert to your normal form, you return to the same state you were in when you were initially transformed.
So like some of this stuff to me is also great fodder for like you need boons and banes to add into
I,
your
I
game.
I was going to go in that direction, like because the deck of many more things and the even um less powerful version of the deck of wonder, um are those things that very much fall into the, you know I want to give out a short term boon, or just a boon beyond like the epic boons that are in the DMG. um these things are all absolutely fabulous for either just straight up lifting, or being inspired by. Like, I read the Beast one, and that's absolutely a negative. But imagine like your character or the party, doing something for some kind of nature spirit or elder druid, a hierophant. And it's like, all right, well, you guys are not druids, but you know what? I'm gonna bestow upon you, and they pick a singular form that falls into the realm of what you deem appropriate, and they get a wild shape once a day, like, to that specific form, sure, but now the party can be like, all right, animal form, go. Like, that was my immediate like, oh, yeah, that would be really fun to have that happen. And like, yeah, that's not gonna be a great thing for everybody, but then you find, you as a player find like, all right, how can I use this? How can, I get advantage here? Like, all right, you see in the D&D movie where, she turns into a mouse, she turns into a fly. Like, it's a lot easier to be, unobtrusive when you're, just a basic animal. Like, that could be badass.
So it sounds like there's a lot of magic items in there too.
Yes. Given given the fact that they have the original 22 cards as magic items, the um, the deck of many more things, which is 44 entries of, abilities, the deck of wonder, um, which is another 22 cards. Those are more like a short term thing. So these would absolutely be able to be like a boon or bane type scenario. Um, but then there are other uh magic items that are spread throughout as well. And I haven't read them all. Just because like I've been reading cover to cover, and I'm only 57 out of the 192 pages in. Um, but everything I've read, has been, a lot of fun and really thought provoking for either how I would use it completely as is, or how I would, bend and tweak what's there. When I started reading their puzzles and traps, where is that one at? Puzzles, puzzles. Page 24. These guys get into like almost to the same effect, but uh, probably planned better than what I did for the Dungeons and Delving
Mm-hmm.
game. The sequential traps. The rooms that, like, all right, this is a great way to build this, and they give you a couple of different ways to put it all together. And the ones that they give are inspired by cards that exist. So it's like, all right, well, you can use your deck of many things to say, well, I want to make a puzzle based off of this. So, well, if I draw the throne card, what does that mean? Does somebody get locked in a throne room, and maybe they have to use information of the portraits that are on the wall from previous kings? Maybe they've got to speak with dead and talk to the spirits that are, inhabiting those those pictures. use the card's name or image to evoke some kind of challenge and figure out what is the step-by-step guide. It talks about hints and what kind of skills and DCs would be working. So it's got difficulty, the puzzle features, the solution, the hints, as well as customizing each puzzle to be best suited for your game and tier.
So, are there random roll charts in there?
There have not been random roll charts that are in here beyond like using the deck as your random roll.
Okay.
Like, if you want to give out cards, to have as individual items, you can do that. If you want to use them out of, you know, you know, as the deck itself, you've got that capability. Or as I already said, using it as inspiration for plotting and planning sessions, campaigns, dungeons. Uh,
Did they make the Avatar of Death any better?
there I have not gotten to the chapter on Skull yet. Um, but there is definitely some aspect in here. 155. Let's look at this hardcore real quick. Um,
So I've got the deck of many things pulled up here on D&D Beyond, and the Avatar of Death is so very sad.
yes, the typical Avatar of Death, like for most characters that get access to a legendary magic item, that's not going to be a problem to slay.
Oh no, this guy with half my hit points. However, will I kill him?
Right. This chapter details the Grim Harrow, doomed undead that seek the deck of many things. So it's the organization of those killed by the deck.
Mm.
The harrowing hunts, the guardians of decay. Does not appear that we have any new stat block. I mean, we got some really powerful champions. You got a challenge 20, the Grim Champion of Bloodshed. You got a challenge 25, the Grim Champion of Desolation. Got a challenge 15, the Grim Champion of Pestilence, as well as the Harrow Hound, a challenge 3, undead blink dog, essentially.
Oh, sick.
But
what is the premise
I mean,
behind the champions?
The Grim Harrow are creatures that if you're slain by the deck of many things with the skull card, you're not dead. It says that you become an undead forevermore. And the lore that it describes in here is that the Grim Harrow believe that all of those who have been cursed with undeath by the deck of many things will have their afterlife if every single copy of the deck is destroyed. So like these guys can be hunters that if the players happen to have a deck of many things, they might show up and just be like, give over the deck.
Mm-hmm.
And no player ever wants to just hand over a legendary magic
Or
item.
any kind of loot, for
And
that matter, a copper piece.
sure. um and they can be awesome role-playing encounters. They can be great study students of lore. Well, what if you want to twist it all on its side and the multiple players have drawn the skull card, and now like and this could be like the setup of the game. You let them describe their story and this and that, and they've all drawn from the deck of many things, and they've all wound up at some point in time drawing the skull card, and you start the game off with them being undead and seeking out the Grim Harrow and Perhaps though there's 5 decks that are out there. Perhaps there's 7. You pick a number. Maybe it's an artifact and there is only one, and that's the one that truly needs to be done. And you have to go out, find the deck, and destroy it to save all of these souls, from the deck's, influential power across the multiverse. Like there's so many different ways to play based off of the pages worth of lore that's here. Let's see. So 155 to 164. So, only really, 9-10 pages. But it's a lot of cool stuff.
So, is there any adventures in there, or is it just more like adventure scenes?
So there's not full adventures, um, but there are definitely like shorter arcs. So like they've got adventure locations. So chapter 14 starts that. That's 106. First page is faster. So the Jester card gives you the Sealy Market, um, which this has got a random roll chart of Fey fruit effects. Um, Secondhand Steals has got a roll chart, but this is basically a location that you can come and interact with, characters, buy some stuff. There was like I said, the Goblin. There's Nilbog, who can use a deck of many things to do stuff with. The Moon Dragon that guides them around. There is the Throne card that introduces Harrow Hall, which is a keep that you have to, that you gain access to, but it's got the full the full keep and what's here. So it's a small little mini adventure, probably 2 to 3 sessions, depending upon how quickly you want to go through it. It's got 15 sections of the keep to explore.
Oh, that's pretty big.
Well, I mean, sections are like that could be like a room or an area.
Okay.
Chapter 16 is Ruin, which talks about Gardmore Abbey. And this is the ruins of a place that oh, it's been ruined. So it's a cool thing, and it's got some cool stat blocks here to go along with. And that each of these things has its own map. So there's the gatehouse and the temple and the barracks and the Hall of Glory, all within a place called Dragon's Roost.
So, like, that'd be kind of cool if you wanted to do you're collecting the deck of many things one card at a time, and you have to visit each one of those locations, and you just place the card in there somewheres. Maybe it's not even a fighting thing. Maybe like the Sealy Court, you have to, or the Sealy Market, you have to figure out how to barter or bargain to get get the card. Right? It's not a combat thing,
Right.
more of a social encounter.
Mm-hmm. And you could completely do that, and whether you want to use the cards as they're nothing more than a fraction of the thing's power until you've collected it all, or you could play the better version where the cards are the incorporated individual magic items until they are there. But like it allows you to do a thing once a day or cast a spell once a day. Uh, you know, but I mean, if you got 22 of these things and none of them require attunement, it's like, all right, I got lots of cards.
Yeah.
So by the time you get to the end of it, you got a lot of daily things that you can do, even if you're spread out amongst 5 people. That's still 4 to 5 things a piece that they all have to do beyond what their characters already capable.
Well, what are some of those?
Sure,
And
sure.
like, even the bad cards give you like a cool ability where it's like, huh, I could build a deck of bad cards and just never assemble it. So I just have
So
good
all
stuff.
right, all right. So your Ali, we said is the one that is the Medusa. As an action, you can brandish this card at one creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself and attempt to turn it to stone. The target must succeed on a DC 17 con save, or it begins to turn to stone and has a restrained condition. The affected target must repeat the saving throw at the end of its next turn. On a successful save, the effect ends on the target. On a failed save, the target has a petrified condition until it is removed by a greater restoration or similar magic. Once this property is used, it can't be used again until next dawn. So a negative card still has a positive effect as the individual item. Uh, Flames allows you to summon a devil
Hmm.
that's challenge 8 or lower. Um, the devil is initially unfriendly towards you and your companions. Roll for initiative, which has its own turns. Um, on each of your turns, you can issue a verbal command to the devil, and as long as you are holding the card, the devil obeys your command. Otherwise, it's under the DM's control and acts according to its nature. So it's unfriendly towards you, but it still has to do what you want if you've got the card in your hand. So if you're not careful, like it can do what it wants, but
Well, it can twist your words. It can do what devils do.
sure. So you gotta be careful there. Um, well, let's see here. Jester, as an action, you can brandish this card and use it to cast Otto's Irresistible Dance, save DC, and you have advantage on con saving throws to maintain concentration on it. Um, Talons, as an action, you brandish this card and target one magic item you can see within 120 feet of yourself. If the item isn't an artifact, its magical properties are suppressed for a minute. Once this property is used, it can't be used again until the next dawn. So, like, most of these cards all like have a very positive bent, even if they're like the negative things. Because like Talons, if I remember correctly, like destroys one of your magic items. Uh,
I think there was one card that took away all of your magic items.
it might be that one, um, but no.
Uh, yeah, there was definitely the deck of many things could giveth or taketh away. Talons, every magic item you wear or carry disintegrates. Artifacts in your possession aren't destroyed but do vanish.
Yeah. So like this allows you to suppress it on on one item you can see um within 120 feet. So like, all right, just having that, like, hey, that big bad's got a an uber sword over there. How about we tone that down for this encounter, please?
Yeah, or they're trying to get away on a flying carpet or something.
Oh, it looks like you're gonna fall.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, how would you rank this amongst the recent releases of 5?
oh, like I said, categorically the best 5e book. Uh, and that's literally only after reading 57 pages. I'm, I kind of skimmed a little bit of the back to know some of the organizational type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm like, no, I gotta do cover to cover on this jam, and started at page one. And while 57 pages is not a lot for a week's worth of reading, there's been a lot going on in my personal life to alter my schedule, so to say. But I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep looking into this. As we get to the release date, there might be some uh, additional blog articles talking about some extra features that I didn't have a chance to talk about today, or some of the inspirational things that I've got as takeaway, as some blog posts to continue my fervent love of the book. Uh, but I did mention that because realize we're at 9 o'clock. There's some things I wanted to kind of show off that are going onto the giveaway pile. Um, the Practical Complete Guide to Dragons is a book, that Wizards has sent us. It's got the official D&D, stamp on it. It's very much a lore aspect based on dragons. We have two copies here of the Fandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk. We got one regular and a special edition cover, which art-wise, the back of the special edition is absolutely freaking gorgeous. That green dragon ampersand is, in my opinion, totally tattoo worthy. We've got the Glory of Giants, another special edition and regular edition copy. And then we have got we talked about this 2 weeks ago, but Planescape. We have got another regular and another special edition copy going onto the giveaway pile. So with all of this, thank you, Wizards of the Coast, for sending that to us. We obviously can't keep all of these books for ourselves. So, we find a way to send it out to some of you awesome viewers who, sign up through the normal ways that we've talked about. So next week will be our next announcement. So if you have not signed up for Patreon or our newsletter, that is a great way to get in on those chances of giveaways and games with us and all of that fun stuff. Dave mentioned that we have Zoo Mafia Kickstarter coming soon, looking to release on November 14th. So that's coming just a short 2 weeks away ish. We're gonna have some early bird rewards. So if you back in that first, I believe, 72 hours, you're gonna get access to some dice that are pretty darn cool. So if Zoo Mafia is of interest to you, you like dice, then I highly recommend you jump down to the description below, grab the link to the notify page, and click that so you can back right away and get us to our early funding, which would be much appreciated.
With that, until next time, stay
Stay
nerdy.
nerdy.